What's up? It's Robert from Existence First, and what I want to talk to you about today is pessimism, motivation, and breaking points. All right, I have a story to share from college, and it's going to be impactful whether you're a pessimist just barely or whether you're a chronic pessimist and you need a transformation. I think this story has a lot of insight to give us. Okay, so the story begins. I was in college, and I took an elective course called self-defense. All right. Now, I didn't know it at the time, but this course was taught by the wrestling coach. The wrestling coach himself was an NCAA All-American wrestler, and he was into MMA, so this guy was hardcore, and he knew what he was talking about. Now, the students in this course, I mean, again, it was an elective course. This was not specifically like an athletic program or something. So you had a lot of non-athletes, a lot of people who have never picked up a weight in their entire lives. And on the first day of class, we all show up, and the coach starts off the class by asking us to run one lap around the room. Okay, simple enough. We can do one lap. So we run a lap, and then he asks us to do 14 burpees, which is sort of like a push-up followed by like a jump or vice versa. And so we do that, okay? Then he asks us to grab, well, the guys had to grab like either a 25 or a 35 pound plate, like a weight, circular weight plate, and the girls had to grab like a 10 or 25 pound one, I can't remember. Right, they had to grab their own plate as well. And with this plate, we had to do 14 shoulder presses, 14 like circular motions, and then 14 curls, right? We put the plate down, and then he asked us to do another lap, and we're like, whoa, another lap, all right. So we do another lap, and then he asks us to do 13 burpees, followed by 13 shoulder presses, 13 head rolls with the weight, 13 curls, and put the weight down. So we all do that. A lot of us at this point are getting very tired. He asks us to run another lap. So we run another lap, and then he asks us to do 12 burpees, followed by 12 of the shoulder presses, rotations, and curls. And at this point, people are starting to notice the pattern. Okay, we did 14, then we did 13, now we did 12, and that's when people started to give up. People started to think, oh, geez, we're going to go all the way down to 1. Like, and this is way too much. And they started to sit out on the side, start to really give up and say, oh, I can't anymore. This is too much, right? And this went on for another couple of rounds until the coach called it quits on the exercise and gathered us around. When we gathered, he said this. He said this exercise was not a test of physical ability. This was a test of your breaking points. Because I was looking around at all of your faces as we were doing this exercise, and I was watching to see at what point each of you broke. And I guess it's true, none of us really knew how long this was going to go on, but obviously some of us were in physical fatigue. It was challenging to complete the exercises, but some of us persisted and some of us gave up right away. And so this coach went on to lecture a little bit more about breaking points and perseverance, but what I'm going to take away from this example, this is Existence First, this is self-help for deep thinkers, this is psychology and philosophy, where Tony Robbins meets Socrates. So let's look at this concept. What's going on up in here during this exercise? As soon as people realize that, okay, it went from 14 to 13 to 12, there's a forecast that just happens, right? There's a forecast of, oh, I know what's about to come. And what's about to come is something negative. That right there is the formula for pessimism. And I'm not happy about it because I myself fell into this trap again this week. I fell into the trap of the pessimism, right? What is pessimism? Pessimism is when, metaphorically speaking, you pull up the weather forecast and it's a 100% chance of rain and cold for the next 7 days. I said metaphorically speaking because, of course, I'm referring to the mind and your emotional climate. So when you think to the next 7 days or to the future, near future, and there is a negative forecast, that, in my opinion, is pessimism. Now, if that's true, then the next question is this. Okay, is it really a 100% chance? And is that out of your control? Of course, the weather, clouds, the physical climate, if we're talking about the weather per se, the weather in itself, yes, that's fairly out of your control. If it's going to rain, it's going to rain. I don't think there's much you can do to prevent that. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to your own life and what's going to happen in the next couple of days, and your ability to cope with that, there's a lot more freedom there. Okay, let's remember, we are human beings here. All right, if we're going to go around living our lives as if we are at the mercy of our outer environment, that's completely off, and it's disrespectful to the human population. It's disrespectful to reality. Okay, we are human beings. And as human beings, we need to constantly create our experience of the world. And when we give up that right, when we give up that ability, it's a sad day. It's a sad day for the entire world. Right? I don't like to see suffering, and I don't like to see, most of all, unnecessary suffering. Okay, so when I see human beings who come short of their potential, or who think of the future in a negative way, I don't like that. I don't like that because I know that there's a better option. And that better option is to constantly reevaluate your relationship with the outer world. And that's one way that you put your existence first.